A violent and previously deported illegal alien was caught by state troopers on a South Texas ranch. This is Friday, December 13th, 2024.
Texas Scorecard presents the day's first news for the Lone Star State, the Texas Minute, with your host, Michael Quinn Sullivan.
Thanks for closing out your week with the Texas Minute as we hit the middle of December. Yesterday marked another bad day for Dustin Burrows as he continues his Democrat-fueled run for the speakership of the Texas House. We'll have more on that coming up. Citizens testified this week before the state Sunset Commission about the abusive tactics and constitutionally suspect role of the Texas Ethics Commission in targeting individuals for speaking out politically. Fran Rhodes is the president of the True Texas Project. She was among those who criticized the TEC for targeting private citizens with frivolous cases seeking punitive damages. Meanwhile, constitutional law expert Tony McDonald said the agency spends its time, quote, picking on the little guy, rather than policing the actions and activities of politicians. Last weekend, the state Republican Executive Committee passed a resolution condemning the TEC and urging reform. To ensure compliance with the statewide ban on the left-wing ideology known as diversity, equity, and inclusion, the University of Texas is now requiring staff to undergo regular training. This comes after an internal review by UT found 13,000 instances of DEI-related terms on the institution's websites. The rejection of DEI ideology has picked up steam in Texas and across the nation. Last year, Governor Greg Abbott signed into law a statewide ban on the implementation of the ideology in the operations and management of higher education. Updating a story from earlier in the week, more than 100 Republican county chairs have now signed a letter declaring their full support for David Cook as Speaker of the Texas House. On Saturday, David Cook was elected by the Texas House Republican Caucus to be its nominee for Speaker. Shortly after, Lubbock Republican Dustin Burrows announced his rump candidacy, with more Democrats than Republicans backing his effort. This letter from the GOP county chairs was organized by Tarrant County GOP Chairman Beau French. It emphasizes accountability for any Republican representatives who refuse to unite behind Cook. Statewide officials, including Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, and Attorney General Ken Paxton, have all endorsed the Republican caucus nomination process that selected Cook. The Texas GOP is now running an ad in Dustin Burrows' hometown of Lubbock, targeting his work with the Democrats to attain the speakership. Here's what the GOP is saying.
Dustin Burrows made a promise.
I want to see the next Republican speaker to be able to fully show that he has support of the majority of the members of the Republican caucus.
But when Republicans rejected his bid to be speaker, Burrows broke that promise. His own colleagues said Burrows stomped out of the room like a child because he didn't get his way. Another called Burrows a liberal rhino who cut a deal with the Democrats. Dustin Burrows sold us out because he only looks out for himself.
The Texas Minute will be right back.
The Luke Macias Show is your access to what happens behind closed doors in Texas politics. Listen weekly to me, your host, Luke Macias, as I break down what is actually happening in conservative politics in the Lone Star State, a state that we all love and cherish. Listen weekly wherever you listen to podcasts. This show is a product of Texas Scorecard.
Two illegal aliens were captured on a private ranch after attempting to evade arrest. The incident occurred in Kinney County on the South Texas border. Troopers with the Texas Department of Public Safety took into custody Nery Flores, a confirmed member of the Mexican Mafia. Of note, Flores was deported from the United States back in 2020 after serving 16 years in prison for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. You can find the details of all the stories mentioned today and keep up with the latest news by visiting TexasScorecard.com. This edition of the Texas Minute was produced by Nick Shepard. It was based on the original reporting of Luca Cacciatore, Robert Montoya, Brandon Waltons, and Emily Medeiros. I look forward to seeing you out around the Lone Star State. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to the first news of the day for the Lone Star State. This has been the Texas Minute with your host, Michael Quinn Sullivan.